influence and respect in leadership circles. Yeah, it's a really it's a question I get a lot also when someone is more junior that started just a new role and they may have to propose or present in front of a leadership team, and then they think I'm new or I'm not senior, I'm junior. How can I influence them? And I think, I mean, from my perspective, there are two aspects to it. One aspect is what is their understanding of influence? Because sometimes people understand, oh, influence is when I get a yes to my proposal. That's not necessarily influence. You may get a no, but you're still influential. So there's sometimes a mismatch of what their understanding influence means. Rejection doesn't mean that they don't have influence. And then, what can they do to be more influential when it comes down to it? So, yeah, and it's a fair question. I mean, if you're new to a company, if you're junior, what do you do? And oh, we lost your, we
I
lost your.
start off. I start off with this one, um, with saying you have two ears and one mouth. Okay, so the most important thing you can do is listen, really listen. Not just hear, but understand what is being said around you, and listen and question and find out as much knowledge as you can as to what those who you would want to gain influence and respect from know already. And so as that then you can hone not so much your opinions, because it's if you're new, if you're, like I'm a crusty old guy, and I've
No.
been around the bush a lot of times, so and been in the business for decades. Okay. So I'm not in need of immediate advice from 30 and 40-year-olds, but they do know stuff that I don't know. Okay.
Mm,
They know a lot of stuff that I don't know, and it's very current and be useful for me to know. So it's for me, if you want to influence me, for example, it's about the quality of the questions that you're raising with me. And as you said just a moment ago, Jacqueline, just because somebody says no, that doesn't mean you're not being influential, particularly if you're asking quality questions. And quality questions come from quality knowledge. And quality knowledge comes from listening. So, listening and learning and in doing that, you will rapidly work out what it is that you've learned over your short career, and maybe it's the current knowledge that you're bringing out of university. You might have finished your master's degree or even your bachelor's, and you've got some new information that you can bring to the table and share with all modesty, and ask the question, would this be of any use? Do you think so? And you might get told no that time. But if you are clear and you focus on the outcomes for the company, the outcomes for the group, the outcomes for those people who you would want to be influential over and have their respect. If you look at their outcomes and you know that what you have to contribute is going to actually improve them, then be persistent, because nothing beats persistence. There's nothing wrong with bringing the same idea back to the table in 3 weeks' time and saying, look, I know you said no back then, but here's the reason why I'm putting it back up there again, because, hey, this hasn't worked, and I'm suggesting that this other way might be a way of going. But
yeah.
this is all coached in terms that you are listening, 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 listening.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, you've put a few really good points there, and I also want to start with the listening again, because we are also when you have some ideas, um, people in general we are quite eager to share those, or quite eager to get our agenda across, or quite eager, I have to get this done, and then not being present and listening first. And I think it is very important to listen to the other person, what is it that they need, what would be beneficial for them. And I also, like, for example, if someone is preparing a proposal or presentation, you can to a leadership team and you feel a bit uncomfortable about it, you can also meet with individual people of the leadership team and tell them, I'm going to prepare this proposal. What do you think of this? And then listen and get feedback. And then they're not, overwhelmed or surprised when you actually get to the point that you want to bring your presentation. You've already made a connection. But the listening is so important, and then actually also use, the feedback in whatever, the task or the presentation is about. And I think that is very important, because we think, oh, we are busy, and then we think, oh, I need to get this done, rather than, okay, let's take a step back and take a breather and see what the other person has to say and what is important to them. And am I somehow also addressing this in my task or proposal or whatever? I think that's really important. And then the persistence, because just put yourself in the shoes of a CEO or a manager. You do want to have employees, a staff, team members that are persistent. They're not just, dropping the pencil. Oh, this is too hard. That's it now. And I go into my corner and sulk because it wasn't accepted. No, when you see persistence, that in itself has value, and the managers see that and think, oh, it's just not giving up on that idea. Um,
Mm.
and um, and that's also important. But then also kind of knowing the discernment, am I just, annoying people? Or am I just annoying people? Or am I persistent with an idea that I think would be really beneficial to implement, and it hasn't been explored properly, and I'm going to try it again, and then 3 months later I'm going to try it again.
Well, look, I
Um,
think, I know that creating some adversity for new would-be leaders and testing them out by rejecting their ideas, it's not never, it's not yet, not now. And so you're looking for team members who are prepared to back themselves, and realistically uh, demonstrate how their ideas are going to benefit the company. But again, this is like, I think your idea of going and talking individual meetings with other managers and is a great idea. And because you can try your ideas out, get feedback, adjust the pitch, and get clearer and clearer and clearer as how your ideas are going to actually benefit the company. And you will also know whether you should persist or not persist. If you are listening, and I keep saying this is not just hearing, which is just your ears picking up vibrations. Listening means delving into the subject matter, asking questions of the person to make sure that you have understood, get clarification. This is how you listen. Total attention is required. Now, the other thing that sprung to my mind when you were talking about talking to other managers, Jacqueline, is talk to your colleagues, talk to your peers, be a leader amongst your peers. Don't be a lone wolf. Being a lone
yeah,
wolf doesn't work. Human beings are uh, created for connection, and when we have one plus one, we can get we can get three because of the synergies that you're able to create because
yeah,
somebody else's ideas, that different perspectives, and you work better as a group. And by the way, how good do you look if you're the one who started the group? He says, "Hey,
and,
let's get working together." All right? Your boss is
yeah.
going to go, "Wow." Tell her that now, just like that. Bang! You're actually now working as a group, and you instigated it. And maybe you
And then,
didn't. Doesn't matter. Still work with other people because that's what leadership's all about. Serving other people.
yeah. And I think, I mean, the it's also the interesting point when we in general, or I get the question in about influence. People see themselves as the, big, great influencer of the company. But it starts with influencing the first person. Like you said, you go to your team or peers and see, can I influence the person sitting next to me? Can I influence my team leader or the architect or whichever environment you're in? Can I influence them? One person and kind of and build it up. Often we see like the end game, and if we're not at the end game, we haven't succeeded. No, it's one step at a time.
Well, you won't
And
get to the end game unless you get that first step taken, will you? It's not just not going to happen.
that's right. You're going to take one step, and this creates relationships, and it builds trust amongst people. And this is an accelerant for collaboration. It goes so much faster in the future when you actually had this personal conversation with someone. And also, if it's someone who is really high up in the company, and you're not, and you manage to get a meeting with them, and you run them past your idea and get your feedback, incorporate whatever makes sense, and then they see how it progresses. You've established or made the first thing a step to establish a really valuable relationship. That's how it works.
Yes.
um, and and that's I mean, I just I'm on these proposals right now because I had quite a few people. What you do if you have to present towards the leadership team, and you're new in the company, you're more junior, and well, obviously you've got to be really prepared, as you always say, do the work, but meet the people beforehand. Don't surprise them with an idea that they've never heard about. And if they look at who are the decision makers in what you need to do, and meet with them. If it is, I worked in software development. So if it is a technology or, an innovation project, you want to talk to the, architect or, the senior design person, um, to get their feedback. So when they're sitting in this meeting and you're coming up with this idea, they're not surprised. They've already been run through it, and they already had ideas about it, and they may already be partially on your side, if not fully.
Well,
And that's
and you
kind of how
also
to
will
set it
know,
up. Yeah,
you'll also will know any objections that they are going to raise. So you're
exactly.
not walking in there blind, right?
Exactly.
So more. But I want to pick into this trust word, okay?
Mm.
Um, because we're both ontological coaches, and we work in this area of who you are being. And when we're talking about building up trust, there's two really important ways of being that I always keep going on about. One is vulnerability. You have to have a healthy relationship with vulnerability. What does a healthy relationship with vulnerability look like? That means you seek feedback. You like people saying to you where you've perhaps gone not right or is not being perfect. You want actually to be told, look, hey, John, you could do that so much better if you did it this way or that way. And if you've seen how this comes across to you, maybe you need to mind you the way in which you use your language and that sort of information. Feedback is gold. Feedback is and wanting feedback is so important, and that it demonstrates a healthy relationship with vulnerability. And when people see that you're willing to be vulnerable, willing to take feedback, and willing to give feedback, by the way, because you can get blowback from feedback. When you give feedback to somebody else, they can say, mind your own business, and so, you know, and the other one is authenticity. Now, I heard on a TV program is that authenticity is a gift you give to people. When you are really authentic with people, you again demonstrating a healthy relationship with vulnerability, but you are living it your authentic self. You are not trying to be someone else. You are doing it your way, and you're being absolutely clear on what is right, what is wrong, what is true, and what is not. to the best of your ability and you're putting it out there for someone else and saying, hey,
Mm.
join with me.
Yeah.
Now, these are
That,
properties that you can work on as a human being that will serve you well if you want to be influential and respected amongst leadership circles, because that's how leaders get that respect. I mean, yeah, you get the old bombastic one, but they don't last,
yeah.
you know?
That's 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 right. And I really like the idea of authenticity being a gift. It is a gift. We also sort of are unfortunately used to a lot of inauthenticity and pretense, and
Yeah.
pretending to be someone or something that you're not. And it's short-lived. It might give you some results in the short term. I'm not saying not, but it's short-lived. But authenticity is authenticity. It is not short-lived. That's just, what it is. And we're human beings. We are wired towards authentic, like we are wired to sense it. So, for
Yes.
example, yeah, for example, if you're in a job interview and you're not authentic, you're pretending that you've done something, or you've had a certain experience but you didn't have that experience. The interviewer will sense it. They will sense there's an inauthenticity. And um, and I found it goes such a long way if you are authentic. Also, when you present your proposals and get feedback, yeah, you have to deal with critical feedback, and hopefully it's in a positive context. But that's what you want. You want to understand where the risks are that you didn't notice or didn't see, and someone else picks the blind spot for you. So you're not running into a disaster when you actually
Yeah.
are ready to present this proposal, if that's what it is.
Yeah, please be very clear. There is a third certainty in life. Everybody says the two certainties of life are death and taxes. There's a third certainty. You don't know what you don't know.
That's
And if you
right.
don't know, you're unaware of it, and it's through no fault of your own, other than it's never crossed your radar.
Yeah,
So that's why you need collaboration. So as that you're using other people's radars, and that increases the possibility of you spotting the black spots and being able to cater for them. And that's
that's
going to
right.
come only when people trust you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really good, because if they don't trust you, they may not come out with the goods.
So how do you earn
You know,
trust? Well, you go out and you serve people. You do the right thing to the best of your ability. And even in those circumstances, that you get a lot of criticism. But I'm thinking right now, Jacqueline, of the work I do in Lions, and leading as a community leader. I've been president of Lions for a couple of times around, and I've led some community campaigns that are very near and dear to the community. And you get a lot of people just throwing spears at you, saying, "Oh, you're just big noting it. You're doing this for your own ego and all the rest of it." No, I'm here to serve. And if people have that view, well, fine. Have that view. There's always going to be naysayers. You're not going to please all of the people all of the time. But if you do what you genuinely believe is the right thing, and you move on and you lead from that point of view where you're leading with your heart and your mind connected, but you're not leading with
mm,
your ego, then whatever criticism comes your way, you go, okay,
mm.
is that valid? If it's valid, I can learn from it. If it's not valid, say la vie, let it go, walk
Yeah,
on by.
that is another really crucial point. The point is that, and we're seeing it a lot on the social media platforms, that however popular you are, however great ideas you have, and be authentic about it, there will be some people just bickering about it, and it can become quite almost toxic. Um,
Hmm.
and as a leader, you also have to, stand above it, and say, well, that's, what's the context that these people come up with this comment. It's not from the
Yeah.
context of being a contribution or having, really thought it through. It's more of the context of being just critical and cynical, and as a leader, you need to have that awareness and authenticity towards yourself to see, okay, that's not coming from the right context, and I just disregard it. And
Um,
that is also important to see that, you might get these feedbacks as well.
well, the green-eyed monster, jealousy is a real thing out there. And if people see you doing well and they see you uh, performing well and getting the respect and influence amongst leadership groups that they might want, if they themselves are not fully rounded human beings and they're not aware of how their actions will hurt them, then you are likely to see some hurtful stuff coming from them and actions taken. But you don't react to that. You
That's
just
that's
carry on doing what you do and being who you are and being genuine and authentic and trustworthy and feeding back in that you can and listening, and let the peanut gallery look after itself.
that's right, because if you come from an authentic place and of a serving place, you want the best for the company or the project. People will see that and notice that. And these, people who are jealous, who can't, accept that someone else is successful or more successful at them as them, they will also be noted. People see it. It's very obvious. So just
Mm.
stand above it. They will see, if you're authentic, they will see and note the authenticity, and they will trust you. And the others, they will see what the others are about.
Yep.
And don't let yourself be pulled down by that. But constructive, positive criticism, that's what you want, coming from the
Yes.
right context. That's what you want.
I'd like to throw in another little piece here that is, when people are being nice, you know,
Mm,
nice means nothing in me cares enough to tell you the truth. So I'll just be nice to you, right? And you're not getting the feedback that you need because I'm just being nice to you, right?
oh,
And
that's a good one.
we can all play the nice game.
Right.
You don't have to be ugly towards people who are critical of you. You can just be nice.
Yeah,
But they're missing out because you are if you are not willing to be vulnerable and tell the truth and give genuine feedback, then they're missing out on that. And
yeah,
again, your ego has to be under control. Is it a balancing act? Yes, it is always. Life is a
yeah,
balancing act. Leadership is a balancing act. But there is a lot to be thankful for that we have two ears and one mouth. And if you use them in that ratio, you're normally pretty good.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I like that you brought up the idea of, the niceness. This is such a great idea, lovely. Yeah, you have to discern that as well, because people might can hide behind niceness.
Mm.
And when people are too nice to you and everything is
Well,
so
we all,
wonderful, be a little bit of
and we all
time to
know
think
we
about
all
it.
know they're being nice, don't we? You know when somebody's doing that to you, playing the
Yeah,
nice game, you know.
because they're not authentic.
Yeah,
And
it's inauthentic and it rings the bells.
it
So
does.
listen to your brain, but don't be identified with it. We have this wonderful mechanism as human beings, that the head and the heart and the gut feel it's real,
It
heartfelt
is.
is
It
is
is.
is is real. Hunch is real. Listen to it, but don't be ruled by it. Look at the circumstances and that is where awareness comes in. The more awareness of the situation, the more you can know your attachment to
Mm,
authenticity again, the more that you are attached to getting the right information and knowing that your perspectives and your um, ideas are based in reality vis-a-vis some fantasy of how you would like it to be, then the more effective you are. And the more effective you are, the quicker you're going to earn that respect
mm,
and influence that you are looking for. But make no mistake about it, you have to earn it.
mm.
You
That
have to
is
earn it.
that is true. You do have to earn it. You do have to do the work. But it's also very rewarding to do that. And and I also
Fun.
wanted to, yeah, it also, I mean, and I also wanted to just briefly pick up on this, gut, heart, and brain. They all,
Mm,
have to work in synchronicity, but it can also be that your brain is going off track and worries about things, or has a certain sort of apprehensions, but your gut says no, it's actually good. It's good. So,
yeah, yeah,
you got to listen to all of it in synchronicity. It's not that one kind of weighs more than the other. And sometimes I find it with my clients that their body is already calm and peaceful in certain situations that they have been, challenged previously, but then their brain is still, oh no, I should be overwhelmed. No,
yeah,
your
yeah.
body's telling you you're already
And,
calm. It's
and
your
that's just your,
brain needs to catch up. I just wanted to point out it can go the other way as well.
well, that's right.
But
And your amygdala is there just to keep you alive, and it's firing off because it's saying, "Hey, I've seen this pattern before, and you were in danger last time." And the way we survived it, because it only cares about survival, is by running away. So
yeah,
please
yeah,
run away. And we
yeah,
know we're going to live that way. It may not be good for you because that part of your brain doesn't care about how your quality of life or how well your career goes. It just cares about keeping you alive. It's just really basic.
yeah,
But just
yeah.
because it's sparking off doesn't mean you have to follow it. But this
But
is where
it
you do have to
eventually
think about it.
it will kick follow as well when your
That's right.
body is
And so
already
you'll
calm.
create new neural
Yeah,
pathways. You're creating a new pattern. You're recording that. You keep recording over the old stuff because you have decided that this is a different way of living. And you want to be living in a life where you are calling the shots, where you, as a total human being, are looking at what's around you right now, right here, right now, and making decisions based on that reality, not on some past event that is
mm,
triggering a pattern. And so,
mm,
and then of course you create more patterns because we're humans and we're recording. We're meaning making machines. I heard someone say once that's what humans do. We make meaning of everything. We judge and we make decisions. So getting back to this, how do I get influence and respect amongst leadership groups? You serve them. You serve them and you ask questions and you work really hard at making sure you are dealing in your reality of who you are. You're coming across authentically. You're bringing your ideas. You're being persistent and strong where needs be. You're building collaboration with your peers as well as upstairs and downstairs. You're listening to those that know that have been there a long, long time. It's a really good idea if you want to reduce cleaning costs in a big factory to talk to the cleaners. That's a really good idea. I know it sounds obvious, right? But so many companies, they'll listen to consultants. They'll come and say, okay, well, we're specialists. We've reduced the costs of this company and that company, the other company, and they don't listen to their own people.
yeah,
And that's a
yeah,
recipe for disaster, and it keeps getting repeated, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
I think that,
everybody has something to offer. Your job is to be able to find it.
yeah, yeah, it's actually a good point to close off, as in go to the source, talk to your people and find out.
Hmm.
And if you're stuck with the solutions and what to do, you can still get a consultant in, but talk to the person first.
Can I
Um,
just close with one little more piece of advice? What, where, when, why, and how. If you write those 5 words down in front of you, you can have a conversation with anybody about anything. What, when, why, where, and how. Open-ended questions. You will learn. You take that information and you build from there.
yeah, yeah, right, yeah. And listen, listen.
Listen. Yeah.
Right,
All right.
okay. That's it for today. Until next time for
Like and
more
share, like and
fun.
share, like and share. Cheers.
Yeah.
See you next week.